there's four reels of counterpoise which you run out in obviously in various directions, and they all click together into a nice little unit, and then pops on the antenna. And I was getting good 5-9 reports into Russia, into a fair bit of Europe. The conditions were wrong, I think, for America. I couldn't hear anyone from America. I couldn't also see my signals going through. Using some CW or reverse beacon network, I could see that most of mine were going into a sort of southeast type direction into Europe, so I knew it was a non-starter. But yeah, it's good to get on the radio. Chameleon is one of those antennas I had for a few years now. Bought it on a whim, but it's actually a pretty good antenna for what it is. It needs an ATU, but it does work when set up nice. So yeah, so that was my fun on the radio on HF anyway. So that's you, Jeff, M0AUG in the group, M0ROL.
Group M0AUG, Charlie. Yes, fine, that Andrew. I didn't realise that down there you had quite a domination of the others. I knew they were down in the south of England, but not around the Minehead area. So, yes. Yeah. Not for me, thank you very much indeed. Okay, we'll go back over to Nick, Jeff, thanks for this evening. G4IW, M0AUG.
Yes, M0AUG in the group from G4RWO. Yeah, thank you very much, Jeff. And we're now live on YouTube. So hello to anyone who's opening up YouTube and discovering the Pennine Ham digital net this evening. And welcome to those people that watch the live stream later on during the week. Apologies for being late. I think Jeff knew that I was talking to Bernard, ON4CGX, who's going to be coming in a few weeks' time to give a talk on radio astronomy that Jeff, ON8NT, sat in just a few weeks ago and posted information about it on the WhatsApp group. Very, very interesting. And I've just had a meeting with Bernard to help set that up and to just discuss his presentation. So that should be very good news. And what I just wanted to mention, just on my introductory over, Jeff, was that on last night's meeting, Jim, WA3TFS, who gave the talk on building a 20-watt linear amplifier for a QRP radio for HF, single sideband CW with a proper bandpass filter in it, gave a very interesting talk and uploaded a copy of the assembly manual for his amplifier, which is actually not terribly complex to build. But he was just sitting there chatting about it, and we shared on the screen some of the information about it so that people could see. And he showed some of the versions that he's built and uses at home. But when we'd finished the meeting and the recording had been switched off for making the video, and I haven't had a chance to do it today, I've been busy with other things today, so it won't go up for a couple of hours. But when we'd finished, we were having a chat afterwards about different radios and which is the person's favourite radio for operating portable. And I completely forgot for about 30 minutes that we were still live on YouTube. And I then discovered that we had various people on YouTube who had spotted the live feed from Pennine Ham and were watching and contributing on the chat. One of whom, by the way, was Tim, G5TM. Another was a guy from Guysborough Radio Club who calls himself GT Retro, who's also got quite a big YouTube channel, a lot of subscribers himself, goes around the rallies making videos and so on. And he was there as well. And they were all chipping in the discussion between themselves on YouTube. And I then brought that into the discussion we had for those remaining after the speaker had gone on the Zoom call. and it was great fun and very interesting, and that we had this kind of overlap between various people. There was also a couple of other radio amateurs that were on the YouTube channel watching, and they were contributing to our debate about what they felt was the best radio for portable operations. And by the way, the one that seemed to get the most number of likes was the Zygu G90, which a number of people have got, including Mike and Adriana, of course, have got one of those. And that was the one that people were rating the highest, particularly for the cost of it, the new cost of it. But it just struck me again from last night that what we do on YouTube alongside our meetings is introducing the club and what we're doing to other people who perhaps don't come across us all the time and don't see us. So that's what I just wanted to make a particular mention of, Jeff. So more on my next over. M0 AUG in the group, G4IWO.
G4IWO in the group, M0AG. So yes, fine, that makes was earlier. I didn't manage to pick up a meeting last night, but I'll look at the YouTube channel, not this weekend, but in the early part of next week, hopefully. So thanks for all that. That's very interesting that other people are coming in from other groups and things like that. It's another way of spreading the news, isn't it, about Pennine Ham. So thanks for that, Nick. Right, I'll leave Andrew alone for this time right now because we jumped in there to give Nick a chance to set up. So over to you there, Lou. GKJJ group, M0AG.
M0 AUG in the group GAKJJ. Yes, fine, Jeff. And I want to thank Nick for arranging the presentation again last night. I didn't watch it last night. I watched it at lunchtime today on YouTube, and I did enjoy that. I mean, I don't operate portable these days. I used to. I had a little 1-watt radio that I used to pack up hills, and this was in the 70s and 80s. It was a Mitsuo. I don't know whether you remember that little 1-watt SSB transceiver, but I'm a bit long in the tooth for marching up hills these days. But I did enjoy it, and I do appreciate the construction of it and the work that was put into the design of it by Jim. Anyway, enough on that. I've been doing tests on the 10-meter delta loop, and it's fairly encouraging. The SWR is about 1.4 to 1, and that's without a transformer. It seems to work fine without a transformer. Obviously, I've got a common mode choke there, but it works quite well. It takes about 10 minutes to erect and about the same amount of time to dismantle. So in that respect, it means I can put it up, do a bit of work on 10 meters, and then take it down at the end of the day. And unfortunately, earlier this week, the 10-meter band has been very poor, and particularly for the UK. You can hear lots of stations, but they're not. You're not able to contact them. But Wednesday, the band conditions improved, and I managed to work South Africa, Brazil, Union Island on 10 meters. This was on the Delta Loop. And today I work Brazil, Chile, the Philippines. And I think the Delta Loop is about 10 dB better than the Cobweb. I've got a Cobweb 5-band antenna, and I think the Delta Loop is about 10 dB better. I am writing up the details on this Delta Loop, and I will share them when they're finished. So back to you, Jeff. M0AUG in the group GAKJJ.
Yes, fun enough, all interesting stuff. I look forward to reading the write-up when it's done. As I mentioned earlier, I didn't get on there last night, so I've got something to watch on the YouTube channel now. So, back over to the US now for you, Bob. November 4 X-ray Alpha Tango in the group. Ham 0 AUG. Zero AUG with group November 4 X-ray Alpha Tango. Same as Lou, I can't do portable anymore, and I have to say that I do miss it. For instance, this year I would be going again to the boat to operate from the submarine, and I won't be able to. This weekend, of course, is Windmills weekend, and if I happen to be in southern UK, I would probably be operating from the Jack and Jill, which will be out this weekend, along with many. I did where Denby Dale has dropped sponsoring that, and now there's another group that sponsors Windmills on the air, so I'm glad that it has continued to go on over all these years. On Wednesday, I attended the Bedford District AGM, and several of the Bedford members, a few of the Bedford members, actually are members of Pennine also. And during the AGM, Henry apparently has talked with Nick about it before, and Henry will be contacting you to have the club join Pennine also. I just talked with Henry within the last few minutes, and he said he hasn't called you yet, but he will be calling you. So give you a heads up on that, Nick. Also, 10 meters here, you know, I'll check 10 meters out frequently, and I do enjoy 10. You know, with 5 watts, one can get around the world on 10 meters when it's in. Recently, though, I have had very, very few contacts on 10. It's hardly ever open for me when I check. Maybe I'm checking at the wrong times. And I'll give you more on the next go-around. I'm sure there'll be another go-around today. So back to you, Jeff. And so AUG, November 4, X-ray Alpha Tango. XAT and the group M0 AUG turning. Yes, fine enough at the moment. You're right on 10 meters. It's surprising where you can get to on low power when the conditions are correct. And I've had some wonderful contacts over the years. And fine on your meeting last night with the Bedford one. And we look forward to Henry joining the fold again with Pennine. That'll be good. Over to you there for yours, Jeff. Remember Tango in the group. Apologies on the last over if my went down. The actual headset was stuck up on the top of my head, so I wasn't done. Oscar November 8, November Tango in the group. M0 AUG.
M0 AUG, the group going 8 November Tango, and a very good evening also to you, Nick, to G4IWO. And also to the listeners on the YouTube channel. Very interesting meeting yesterday from Jim or James, and also the discussion afterwards was quite interesting. You know, there was maybe a new approach to these Zoom meetings. Was quite interesting, so I really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, I had a problem with my computer. By accident put my screen on 200%, and I didn't know how I did that, and I had trouble going back to 100%. So after the meeting, I've looked into that, but I could not get the buttons to have my video on and things like that. So that was very strange, but anyway, I hope it's arranged. Okie-doke, yeah. Congratulations there, Lou, on your 10-meter delta loop. I think very interesting experiments up till now, so that's quite interesting. Really looking forward to hear more about that, and that it is better than your 5-band cobweb. That's really interesting. So that delta loop is an interesting antenna. Unfortunately, it's too big for my balcony, I'm afraid. But anyway. Okie-doke, radio-wise has not been that active like most of you said. Conditions are not brilliant. Actually, I have been playing on 40 meters, which was quite good from time to time, I think. Last weekend I did the Italian Riti contest, conditions were not good at all. I probably only worked 42, 43 stations, something like that, which is not much. And on Tuesday evening, I did the 2-meter UK activity contest, and there was not much activity either. Well, the conditions were not good. That's what I mean. Conditions were not that they were more normal, so to say. So I worked only 5 stations. And I have been busy during the whole week decoding the slow scan TV pictures from the International Space Station. Most passes are during the night, so I put my transceiver on during the whole night and the computer with the program to decode them. And in the morning, I found all these pictures from the SSTV. The theme this year is Liberation. It's about the 18th anniversary from Liberation. Okay, no, and Jeff, yeah, you say you're going to a presentation evening. What is that? Is that an evening with different presentations, or could you expand a little bit more on that? Mike 0 AUG, the group coordinator, November Tango.
November Tango in the group M0 AUG returning. Yes, fine on that, Jeff, and yeah, the evening tomorrow, it was. It's called the Fred Lees Award Evening, and Fred Lees, going back into the times of the history of the club, was in fact a VI during the war, a voluntary interceptor, and he was one of the original founders of the Oldham Club back in the 1930s, and he did an awful lot of work for the club, and what we decided to do at the end of the day, after Fred's passing, his son John, who took Fred's call sign, which is GB3PD, John in actual fact paid for a gold-plated Morski in a little cabinet to be presented to the member in the Oldham Radio Club who'd done most for the club in the last 12 months. And it's been going on now since about I don't know, must be over 20 years. And originally, when Fred's family were around, and they used to come to the evening as well, and actually do the presentation. But that sort of dropped off a little bit, but we still have the presentation evening, when the person who's deemed most to have helped the club in the last 12 months will get presented with this golden Morski, which will be theirs to have in the shop rather, for the next 12 months. And also at the same time we have a meat and potato by supper and all the bits and pieces, followed by a quiz night and raffles, and that's the usual sort of thing there. So doing it for many years, very enjoyable. So there we are. I think I would have once many years ago, but that's a long time ago. Over to you then, Nick. G4IWO in the group. M0AUG.
M0AUG in the group from G4IWO. Yeah, thank you very much, Jeff, and very interesting contributions there. First of all, before I forget, Jeff, when Bernard was chatting away with me earlier this evening in preparation for him coming to give his talk at the club, he said, you've obviously understood, Nick, my English is not very good, and I may struggle. And I said to him, not at all, and I genuinely meant that. His English is extremely good. And I said, I know that you made the same comment when you gave your talk at Leuven, where Jeff ON8NT from our club heard you give the presentation. And I have to say I agree with Jeff here that your English is extremely good. People will have no problems whatsoever following and understanding your contribution there. So anyway, yeah. First of all, Lou, on the Delta loop antenna, that sounds extremely interesting and very, very promising as well. And looking forward to you writing up your experiences with it and how quick and easy it is to put up. You mentioned as well the Mitsuhu little a single band HF transceiver. They had a VHF one as well. And funnily enough, Lou, when we were at the Blackpool Rally, the NASA Rally in Blackpool, one of those was for sale on a table very close to where the club stand was. And we'd gone to have a look at it before the rally opened. And Phil, G4UDU and myself were looking at it and kind of saying, oh, that's quite good. That fills me with a lot of nostalgia. I wanted one of those when they came out, but it was quite expensive to buy. It looks great fun, and it would be good to get that working. And we hummed and hawed over it. But anyway, Phil beat me to it and got it for something like £15, I think. The 20-meter SSB transceiver produced by Mutsuhu that fits in your hand. So I'm looking forward to Phil telling us how he got on with that. Just going back to last night's talk, Jim, WA3TFS, has given me a price for single copies of the printed circuit board for the amplifier, which would make a great difference to people trying to build it. So I'll put information about that in the next club newsletter. Our next club meeting in just under 2 weeks' time, on Wednesday, 21st of May, we've got Tim Kirby, who writes for Practical Wireless GW4VXE, giving a talk on getting started with satellites, which I think will be very good. We've got a meeting literally the following week on the 28th of May by a US amateur who unfortunately couldn't do the dates I was suggesting later and wanted to give his talk before he went away. He's going off on a very long distance journey, I think down to Australia. He's devised a square wire beam for 2015 and 10. So he's going to come and talk about that on the Wednesday, the 28th of May. And then the week later, on Wednesday, the 4th of June, we've got the guys from Newport County Radio Club who did this wonderful article about comparing different antennas in the portable experience and literally comparing them in real time using CW and the reverse beacon network. And they had great fun with this. So there's a group of them, I think 3 of them are going to come from the club and give this presentation in June. So for reasons completely outside my control, we've ended up with what will be virtually, weekly meetings until the middle of June, which is good, but I don't want to do it all the time. I think we probably do need a bit of a break from everything we're doing, but I'm not going to say no to anyone who wants to come and give a club talk. So back to you, Jeff. M0AG in the group, G4IWO.
Group M0 AUG in the group. Thanks for that, Nick. And yes, interesting line of presentations there. The last one you mentioned on the 4th of June is completely out as far as I'm concerned, due to a long-standing commitment there. But it'll be on YouTube, I've no doubt, and we'll catch up from there. Yeah, back onto Blackpool. It was particularly interesting for Phil and Sandy to be available on Blackpool. They came up to the stand as well, and basically you and I and Ken around the stand, Sandy and Phil were there as well, and it was really good to see the camaraderie that was developing amongst the people who came from the guy in the States, for instance, who spent quite a bit of time with us on the stand. He said he was coming there looking at the GQRP side, and that was interesting, I think. And I'd like to think that Pennine Ham found it useful to have a presence there on that particular event. I did notice that Denver Dale weren't there this year, so maybe Joel sold all this stuff. But it would be good if that could be kept on the agenda. And the comment I would share is that I was talking to Sam from ICOM, who for the birthday brought an ICOM stand up to the rally there. And Sam and I have known each other for many, many years. And he just said to me, "You've come down often enough to see us when we've been to Newark and the other events. And we just thought it was about time you came up to us. And we came up to you, rather." And Sam, of course, is the sales and marketing director for Radio UK. And a good friend. So these things just show the importance of the local rallies like Norbrake. Right. So where we'll go now is back over to you, Andrew. And obviously, I know we're on to sort of like a fourth round sort of thing, but we can soon pull out whenever we want to. But let's keep it going for now. M0 ROL in the group. M0 AUG.
M0AUG in the group, M0 ROL. Well, is apart from my reports on the HS, the other event was the Exmoor Youth Challenge, which was on last Saturday, which actually was quite a big event. There was just under 600 children taking part, 147 groups, I think it was. And no one got lost. They went the wrong way and walked a lot further than they should have done, but I think they found, again, it was a challenge for navigation and endurance, but only 16 miles, but some of them were 11-year-olds, so it's quite a distance. But it's interesting that we used for our communications DMR radios for the first time. We had our own DMR repeater, and I have to say, despite some of the die-hard VHF chaps that thought that it wasn't radio, the DMR worked extremely well. Clear signals, no interference, and it was quite nice to have a day when we weren't fighting with other people on the frequencies or the various South Wales repeaters that were very close to our bands that we're using. So yes, the Unitone radio worked extremely well. So I think that may be the setup for future years, and convince our friends up in Bristol that we ought to do the same there. We've got the repeaters, it just needs setting up. So yeah, DMR is coming to its own, I think, ready for the sort of communications that we need. So back to you, Jeff. M0AUG in the group. This is M0ROL.
M0ROL in the group, M0AUG returning. Yes, thanks for that, Andrew. And particularly interested in the DMR side, which has sort of been the third method of transmission. Seems to be starting to come into its own under certain circumstances. I had a DMR D380, I think it was, which was a 77s only, right from the early days when DMR started up, and I couldn't get along with it. The code plugs in this and the other seemed to be too complicated. And in fact, in the end, I gave the radio away to one of the guys at the Oldham Club. However, I do have to tell you, in the Norbrake Rally, Martin from Murphy was selling some DMR radios, and there were 2 meters of the 77s, and the snow. And Martin was saying £59.99. I had to buy one. I've known Martin for years and years. And then he came complete with the program to say how to do the DMR plug, and also sample software as well. And it's a nice little radio, very, very nice little radio. Not as bulky as the MD380, and it did the job very, very nicely. So I'm still playing with that and getting used to it, but had to rely on Charlotte from the Oldham Club to help me with the programming of it, because it's years since I've done that. So thanks for the reminder there, Andrew. Right, over to you there, Lou. GAKJJ in the group, M0AUG.
M0AUG in the group, GAKJJ. Yes, thanks, Jeff. And Bob, 10 metres. I've found that it opens up early afternoon, but it's certainly in the last couple of days. But the HF bands haven't been particularly good over the last week. There are plenty of stations on 20. 20's been very active, but most of the other bands have been quiet. 7 with local stuff. 40 meters has been reasonable, but I think most of the other bands have been not so good. I noticed that the MUF, strange, it seems to have been missing out on the States, and I've not heard very many US stations from the USA over the last week, so, and I normally hear lots, so I think MUF has been pretty low over your way. And yeah, okay, Nick, about the Michuo, I've still got it. It still works. It was an item radio, and it was. I mean, by modern standards, it's not so good, but it's got a VXO with. I think it's got a 100 kc range. So from about mine was a 2-meter one. 144 250 to 144 350, which did restrict your usage, but I used to pack it up hills, and I used to have a homemade HB9 CV, and that worked really well. And on top of one of the say MAM tour, I used to take it up MAM tour on occasion, and from there you could work well down into the south of England. So yeah, but I'm a bit long in the tooth for that now, Nick. And I do aim for your portable operation. Anyway, I'll pass it back, Jeff. M0AUG in the group, JKJJ.
JKJJ in the group, M0AUG. Yes, finally, and we're all starting to reminisce from the time things that we used to do when we were younger. And, yeah. And, I think, Nick, you do miraculous work in getting up the hills and helping to promote the mobile part of the hobby there. And long may it continue. But then you're a good 10 years younger than I am. Right, over to you there, Bob. And number 4XL for Tango in the group. M0AEG.
M0AUG with the group number 4, X-ray Alpha Tango. It's been my experience as an amateur radio operator, at least, that 20 meters usually is the best band year after year after year after year. And recently, if you take a look at my logs, 99% of my contacts have been on 20 meters, and 99% of them have been CW, so hi. Otherwise, I'm doing well, I guess. This morning at 1200 Zulu, I was 1170 out of 47,675 users, and that makes me 0.026%, and I just can't break that 0.02%. It's surprising the number of CODA operators that have thousands and thousands of contacts. 1173 to me sounds like a lot, but there are CODA operators out there that have 5 figures worth of contacts where I only have 4. So there we go. I have 1,200 is that? No, 2,200. 2,223 parks, different parks so far. So I really can't complain about that. I still, as of last week, I had 21 countries, 20 of them being DX countries, and 99% of that also was QRP, so I can't complain about that. What's surprising, I got my first South American country last week, and generally communications to South America are pretty good. It's just I was able to get
a park on the air. I only have one park on the air now in South America, so I am happy about that. Most of my parks, of course, are in Western Europe. But it keeps me off the street and it keeps me happy. Hi. I do have a photo, and I'll talk about that when the time comes. Back to you, Jeff. M0AUG with the group, November 4, X-Ray Alpha Tango.
Like I say, Alpha Tango in the group, M0AUG. Yeah, fine on that, Bob. And you wouldn't be surprised to hear that a number of people who we've passed on the scores that you've been able to attend have suddenly got themselves interested in photo, particularly quite a good gang in the Oldham Club as well. And nothing like your scores, but it's given people inspiration to have a go at photo. Even me, I think I've only got about 20 so far, but quite a number of people in the Oldham Club taking up the going out into the hills and operating photo as well as SOTA. So, and a lot of it's down to what we've passed on from your experience. So, thank you for that, Paul. Over to you, Jeff. Oscar and Ray Entertainment, M0AUG.
M0AUG, the group. Over November Tango. Yeah, okay, very interesting about your adventures there in Pota. I checked the website and I saw that I worked a little bit more than 50 QSOs as a hunter, and for that I got a diamond award, which is unbelievable. But anyway, but still only 60 hunter contacts. So yeah, okay, I'm working on that, and one day I will be an activator in Chai. Okay, though, and interesting, Jeff, about that meeting you have tomorrow morning. I think that's a very interesting formula, and very interesting that you are, remembering that old member who was so important for the group. So that's really a nice thing to do, I think. So yeah, we're really looking forward to the next week to hear your experiences there. So very nice activity. And also, Nick, very good about Bernard in Dutch, Bernard or Bernard. And yeah, I think his English was good, was absolutely good, no problem at all. He could explain what he wanted to explain, and he really did that in a very good way. So I'm not sure if he was a teacher. It could be that he was a teacher maybe one time in his career, but he could explain things in a very clear way. That's really something which is very useful. And from the site from Jim W. Whiskey Alpha 3 TFS, I downloaded that document about the inductor. That's something very interesting. I really like this approach of making something from scratch, which could actually be very useful in a shack or even in the field. So I really enjoy that. And this Mizugo transceiver, I do remember that when that came into the magazine from those times. I was still a shortwave listener, but I was really looking to that. I really wanted to have one, but I had no license, and at that time that was not possible, of course. And I think a little bit later there was the ISO FT290, which came up, the one with the extra linear amplifier. Was a 2-watt transceiver, I think, but you had the 10-watt linear amplifier which you could click on the transceiver. So I also was very interested in that one, and a couple of years ago I could buy that on a flea market in working condition, I think for €75, something like that. So I still have it, and it's still working. So that's I really like that. Okie doke. Back to you, Jeff. Mike 0 AUG, the group over 8 November Tango.
Tango, the group M0 AUG time. Yes, fine on that, Jeff. And thanks for your good wishes on the meeting with the Oldham Club tomorrow evening. It really is an interesting social event, and
Maureen will be coming with me as well. They always used to do when we used to live down there. I've been a continuous member of the Oldham Club now for 35 years, so obviously I was one of the two officers for about 15 of those, and organising the rallies as well. So the club is very, very dear to me, and I'm so pleased that we're still able to keep the club together in difficult times sometimes. Right, what I'm going to propose now, Nick, and you can confirm before I do, I'm just going to let Andrew and Lou have their finals, and then I'm going to go on to Bob and Jeff in Belgium for their finals. But I'll bring you in after Lou. So it's going to be Andrew, Lou, Nick for the finals, then go to Bob and Jeff in Belgium, who will be sending photographs to the end. If that's okay with you, that's okay. Let me know, Nick, please. G4IW, 0AEG.
M0AG in the group from G4IW. Oh, you're absolutely fine, Jeff. No problem at all. I'll wait my over. Back to you.
Thanks, Nick. We're doing very well this evening with all the suits onto the mix, and we've got an hour out of it as well, which is good. Obviously, we're missing Mike and Adriana, and of course Adrian as well this evening. And Dave Zedison usually comes on as well. So it's been a good evening. Thank you to everybody for joining on that this evening. I'm sure a lot of you would have rather been sitting out in the garden, enjoying the weather there. So we'll start at the top of this list before we divert on to the finals. This is the final for you, Andrew. M0RO in the group, M0AEG.
M0AEG in the group. Oh hell. Yeah, just a couple of items before I wrap. There's a friend of mine who is into his port of operations. He sent me a note that he's ordered the Yaesu FTX more Optima, which I, in my naivety, thought that this is the long-awaited replacement for the FT818, which had at one stage, or 817. And I've looked at the website, and £2,069. It does do 6 watts on its own internal battery, 10 watts on external battery, and then the head plugs into another unit, which gives it 100 watts, which is probably down to a base station or something, sort of mobile portable type thing. So yeah, awful lot of money. So I think I'll stick to my 705 and my cheap Chinese amp, and I'll probably get the same sort of performance out of it. And Monday I'm off to North Devon. I packed the 705 with an end-fed half wave and my super antenna bag of tricks to see if I can make any contacts on the coast down there. I don't think it's part of a POTA box, so I don't think I can let you sort of activate it, but I'll have a look to see if there's a POTA down there. But in the meantime, thanks for running the net, Jeff. Small but perfectly formed tonight as far as the number of members are concerned. So let's hope that everyone has a good week and can get on the radio. And look forward to catching everyone next Thursday. So from me, it's 73. I'll pass it back to you, Jeff. This is M0ROL passing back to M0AEG in the room.
M0RO, the group M0AEG returning. Thanks very much indeed, Andrew, for coming on to the room this evening. I must admit, when I was looking down the chart earlier on, there wasn't anybody else but me. And thankfully you popped up, so thank you for your support, Andrew, and give our best wishes to David if you speak to him in the meantime. And we look forward to catching up with you next week. As you say, not a lot on the group tonight, but a good net, I think, nevertheless. Thanks again, Andrew. Over to you for your finals, Lou. GKJJ in the group, M0AEG.
M0AUG in the group GAKJJ. Yes, thanks, Jeff. And it's been an excellent net this evening. Very interesting. lots of information and lots of things to think about. I'm quite looking forward to the next presentation after the one that I've seen today from last night. I'm quite looking forward to the satellite presentation. It's another thing that I haven't done. I'm still looking at balloons. Jeff, I'm still thinking about that, and I keep thinking about the 8/8 antenna in the roof space, but I haven't managed to get up there. So, but it's a thing to think about, and it is nice to hear about all these things that are going on, and then it gives you inspiration to try new things. Anyway, 73 to everyone, and look forward to the next week. This is Golf 8 Kilo Juliet. Back to you, Jeff. M0 AUG in the group.
KJJ in the group, M0 AUG telling. Yes, thanks on that, Lou, and thanks for supporting the route this evening. I'm sure a lot of people want to look at other things that are going on around the world on the internet, etc. Sitting out in the garden with a beer, but there we are. So thanks for your support, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again next week. Right, what we'll do now then, we'll just go over to Nick for the wrap-up, please, and then we'll bring Bob and Jeff in for their finals, finishing with the photographs. So over to you then, Nick, please. G4I, in the group, M0 AUG.
M0 AUG in the group from G4IWO. Yeah, thank you very much, Jeff, and interesting net as always. I was just going to mention, I forgot it on my last over, but when the club officers had their last meeting a few weeks ago, one of the issues we discussed was whether we should invite in to give a club talk is radio amateurs who just have a very small business selling, one-off or small components like a simple antenna or something, not as their main occupation or their main business in like a big commercial company, but just a small hobby type thing. And we decided that would be a very good idea. So I've spoken to Peter, GM0EUL, who has developed a wonderful, and I've got one now, little miniature paddle key for CW that he wanted. His aim was to build one as good as the original Palm Pico paddle, which is not really available at the moment, although there is a German guy who has making some of those now. But Peter has built this very, very simple paddle key made by 3D printing, magnetic bearing inside, so that the return of the key is by magnetic movement, and it is really superb. It really is very good. When I went up on the hills last week, I took that key with me and used that key, and it's very, very small. It's about 4 centimeters by 2 centimeters width. It is a very, very small key with a magnetic base on it as well. That was good. To Lou, I'm looking forward to the talk on satellites. It's something I've never done, but I did take advantage of one of the other companies. Martin Lynch was selling at a reduced price the E-antenna duo satellite beam for using the satellites where you're transmitting and receiving on a different band. So using 2 meters and 70 sems. It's a three element beam for 2 meters and a 5 element beam for 70 sems with a duplexer built inside. And the price was so good, I thought that was worth investing. But the very good thing about this antenna, because if you're going to use it following a satellite by hand, you don't want the antenna to be very big, and it weighs only 800 grams. So it's, a very, very lightweight antenna, easy enough to hold in your hand. So I'm looking forward to using that, and also looking forward to Tim Kirby's talk about getting started with satellite radio. So anyway, excellent net tonight. Lovely to see people. I know we've missed a few people, but I know they'll catch up with us, and I'm quite sure that they'll listen to it on YouTube when they get a moment in the coming days. So 73s everybody, and I'll listen for the and just look out for the photos coming down. 73s and good night. Back to you, Jeff. M0AG in the group, G4IWO.
G4IWO, M0AG. Yeah, thanks for the updates on all those things, Nick, and for the anyway, the fun with the keys as well. Interesting, yeah. I'm not a Morseman, as you know, but always interested to find out what other people are going to do. So, thanks for joining us this evening. It was 6 on the net, probably the lowest we've ever had, but what a quality net it's been, I think, as Andrew remarked. So, over to you there, Bob, for your final plushy photograph, please. M4XAT in the group, M0AUG.
M0AUG with the group, November 4, X-Ray Alpha Tango. This week I have another picture of a lightship, a museum lightship that is owned often now. And plus, I forgot the name the ship was originally, so I had to get a hold of Mike and Adrian, and they filled me in on the details. The name of the museum ship, the museum lightship, is Norderney, and originally it was a former lightship on duty in the North Sea from 1907 to 1984, and later it was used as an anchoring platform at Quay, and it's very near the ship that I used to stay on when I go to Wilhelmshaven. I'd stay aboard the Argona at Wilhelmshaven. So that'll be my photograph today of the Norderney, and I'll let you know, or you let me know when you want me to start sending, Jeff, M0AUG and 4XAT.
And 4XAT in the group M0AG returning. Yes, fine on that, Bob. We'll just let Jeff have his final over, and then I'll come back to you for the picture. November Tango in the group, M0AUG. For your final, Jeff, please.
Okay, thank you. Mike Zero Alpha Uniform Gold, over 8 November Tango. Okay, very interesting evening, Jeff. I thank you very much for sharing the net. Really enjoyable, very interesting contributions from all the people. And Andrew, if you are going out and about next week and you intended to be active, radioactive, I mean, please give a little message on WhatsApp and we could try to contact you. That would be very nice to get a contact with you. And okay, Lou, about the balloon, well, you know, you don't need any special antennas with a simple antenna that will work also. And in fact, the transmissions from these balloons are digital, so they really go deep in the nose, so the chance with a simple antenna are really very, very high. And okay, also looking forward to the presentation on satellites. I've done some satellites, mostly digital on FT4, on RS-44 and on some other satellites. I still find it very difficult to do FM and even single sideband on satellites, but anyway, even with the small beam. So, my picture will be nothing special. It will be a castle in a lake, a romantic picture each eye. And I'm really looking forward to your picture, Bob, from the Northern Eye, which is a name that I remember. You know, as a young guy, I was very interested in those maritime things, and we also sailed a little bit. My father had a boat, so we also sailed a little bit, and I do know the names of the different pictures each eye. I really was keen on looking them up and see where in a map on the atlas where they were situated more or less was really one of my interests at that time. Okay, I put it back to you, Jeff. Mike Zero AUG, the group over 8 November Tango.
Tango in the group M0AG returning. Yeah, fine on that, Jeff. And thanks again for joining us this evening and your contribution as usual. What I'll do now, I'll just pass it over to Bob for you to send your picture first. Over to you then, 4XT in the group M0AG. Thanks again, Bob.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for running the net. Stand by. The picture will be shortly.
TM0AG. Quite a lot of blocks in that one, Bob. Do you just want to try sending it again, please?